uh, reconvene to our open session. We don't have anything to report from our closed session tonight. This meeting is being recorded for live streaming and archiving on the district YouTube channel at youtube.com.
There should have been a report out from Student Matter.
Yes,
Oh, that goes now?
yes.
Sorry. Okay, so I'll go back. So, this was a closed session item, student discipline and other confidential matters, Education Code Section 35146 and 48915B2. The board took action on a motion by Trustee Zeta and seconded by Mark Maselli to deny a parent's request to rescind the suspended expulsion for student number 22-014. Oh, thank you. Okay, so this meeting is being recorded for live streaming and archiving on the district YouTube channel at youtube.com/Benicia Unified School District for your convenience. We have the Pledge of Allegiance, and Dr. Ovick, would you like to lead us? Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We come to 7, approval of the agenda. Can I have a first and second? Now, anyway, can I have a first and second to approve the agenda,
I'll move
please?
that we approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
Oh, but we.
Yes?
But don't we?
Do
take
we-
things out
Do we
after?
pull? Okay,
I'm just verifying what you guys want to do. You're approving as presented.
Yes. Well, yes.
We can pull it at the consent.
is it the consent, because it's the consent calendar that we're.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Oh, okay, so, our highlight tonight is Benicia Middle School, the Benicia Middle School Web, Where Everybody Belongs program. Principal Nelson.
You guys hear me okay? Well, thank you so much, Board, for having us here this evening. My name is Mark Nelson. I'm the principal of Benicia Middle School. And tonight we are highlighting our WEB program. And WEB stands for Where Everybody Belongs. And it's all about transitioning kids from elementary school into middle school. And we have 2 fabulous staff leaders who will tell you all about the program. And they will introduce the WEB leaders who are going to present all the different things that they do. And I just wanted to give a huge shout out to Soretta Tuttle and Angela Porter for all the hard work that they have done in really bringing in our web program. So, and Lauren Slugo was really instrumental in web for a number of years as well, and she retired last year. And Soretta and Angie have taken it over, and they've done just an amazing job. So my heart goes out to them. So I will turn it over to them.
Thank you so much for having us here tonight. I am Soretta Tuttle, science teacher at Benicia Middle School.
I am Angie Porter. I am the lead campus supervisor and web coordinator at Benicia Middle School.
And we are so lucky to call ourselves the coordinators for this program. In our training, we learned this important thing, and I think all of you can relate, and it's you get back what you give. And so as coordinators, we are so lucky to be able to give and to see what it is that our students are able to do as a result. We have amazing 8th grade leaders who are here to present to you their experiences with the web program. So without further ado, I would like to introduce, we have Zoe Ta, we have Kaya Silva, we have Dylan Fa, we have Parker Schooley, and we also have Elijah Haynes, and all of them are going to speak to you guys this evening. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Zoe Ta, and we are WEB. WEB, which stands for Where Everybody Belongs, is a middle school orientation and transition program where 8th grade leaders welcome incoming 6th graders. We 8th grade leaders have given our time this year to help prepare 6th graders and act as role models. WEB leaders have become essential pillars of BMS, where we provide a safe place for 6th graders with friendly faces and support.
Oh, it is. My name is Kaya Silva, and throughout my experience as a web leader, it has been a very fun and challenging ride. Thanks to my teachers, Miss Angie and Miss Tuttle, I was able to overcome many things that I thought I could never do. Some things I had really enjoyed during the web program was teaching the 6th graders lessons during their advisory and telling them how important the meaning of things really are and how much of an effect that they could have on others. I really enjoyed hosting many fun games and events for them, as well as making new friends. My advice to the future web leaders would be to always be yourself and never to be shy to push yourself out of your comfort zone. Because at the end of the day, we are all humans who are still growing. Web is a way to bring others together despite their differences as a community. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Dylan Fall. I'm a fellow web leader. I would like to start off by saying one thing I love about web is my connections with the 6th graders. As an 8th grader, I like to tell 6th graders what to do and how to help them succeed in their middle school career as a 6th grader. And one challenge I had at the beginning of web is how to speak in front of people such as this crowd right here. But as I got into web, I was also learning along with my 6th graders. And when I was learning was that I overcame my challenge of speaking in front of people such as this crowd today. So how I describe web is that not only is it helpful for the 6th graders that web leaders are teaching, it's also helpful for the leaders who are also giving the lessons out for the 6th graders. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Parker Schooley. I really like the web program because it makes me feel more connected to my school. Since as 8th graders, we do not have lunch with the 6th graders, they're a different group. And it makes me feel like I know everybody on campus, even if I don't. Web has taught me how to be a teacher and a mentor to younger kids. And we recently started teaching life lessons in kids' advisory classes. And this last lesson was on gossip and how bad it was and like how it can harm people. And the kids absolutely loved this lesson. We had them play a little game like telephone where they read a story and we had to see how they could answer questions at the end of it. I would describe web as a program that allows the younger kids, the 6th graders, to have connections to us older kids, the 8th graders. And I remember how as a 6th grader, I used to look up to the 8th graders, and at that time, I didn't really have any connections with them. But it's such a cool feeling to know that there's 6th graders out there that are looking up to me and know that they can reach out and like ask for any help and any questions that they need. Thank you.
I'm Elijah Haynes, a web leader at Benicia Middle School. My experience with web, it's been fun throughout the whole year, being able to connect with the 6th graders in ways that I've never felt connection with other web leaders. I also like being a leader and not a follower, and able to lead with like understanding as well. Thank you.
So that concludes the presentation. If you guys have any questions, I'm sure the kids would like to answer them, or if you have any questions for, because they're leaders.
I just would like to say to all you students, and I can't see you all because you're behind the podium, but I just want to congratulate you first for taking the leadership role, and secondly, for doing a great job in front of all of us people and speaking on behalf of the program. So I just want to say thank you so much.
You're good, you're good. Oh, yeah.
Go this way so that I can see the people
There,
behind you.
perfect.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
And I need to see everybody. Cece, scoot over to Amy a little bit. Thank you. Perfect. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Webbs. You guys are wonderful. I know you do such a great job, and you make other kids feel so comfortable. Thank you. And here we are to 9A, student reports. We have Victoria Blackman.
Is it on now? Okay, sorry. Good evening. Oh, who's not here? President Grubbs, fellow trustees, and cabinet members. Last week, Liberty High School held our spring open house, and we'd like to extend a big thank you to all the families who joined us. Guests had the opportunity to engage in a variety of activities designed to showcase our school and all that we offer. The evening wrapped up with a fun barbecue. This week, we wrapped up state testing. Great job to all the juniors. Yesterday, we went to Tahoe Palisades, again with Ski Duck's program. We had 18 students go, with several being their first time. Today, a group of our students had the opportunity to volunteer at Robert Semple's Art Gallery, which is where I got this from. We assisted with workshops alongside the younger students, making it a fun and creative experience for everyone. We hope to be invited back next year. Finally, we want to wish everyone a safe and restful spring break. On behalf of Liberty High School, thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, President Grubbs and fellow trustee members. Last week was Panther Passport Week, and the week before that was March Madness. Students were able to create a team with their friends and compete against one another. For Panther Passport Week, each day was dedicated to a different country where we would celebrate different heritage and cultures from across the world. Each day had a different playlist and food from that country. Last weekend, the debate team went to a tournament of champions, and the captains competed. This week, leadership is working on planning events such as the Winter Rally, Senior Banquet, and Prom. This is the last week for prom ticket sales and senior bundle sales. All sales end Friday once school is over. Last night was the Wind Ensemble concert, and tomorrow is the last day of state testing for juniors. In the upcoming weeks, next week is spring break, and after that there will be sign-ups for the Panther Bowl, where the girls play a game of football and the guys can cheerlead. Leadership is also planning Staff Appreciation Week, which will be in the upcoming weeks. And this Saturday at 7 is also the last showing of this year's school musical, The Addams Family. On behalf of Benicia High School, thank you.
Our superintendent reports will be Dr. Leslie Beachland tonight.
Yes, I have some reports from Dr. Wright. As you heard from our student members, we are beginning the CASP testing season. CASP is our statewide assessment. All students in grades 3 through 8 and 11 take the CASP assessment in reading and mathematics to judge their proficiency in meeting those state standards. And also, students in grades 5, 8, and 11 take the science assessment under that same program, and it's called CAST. So those have started now at some schools, and they'll run through May, depending on, there's a long window for that. Additionally, last night, we had our very first early learning night. It was a huge success. Lots of families came. I'd say between 30 and 40 families showed up. I wanted to give a shout out to Mrs. Erica Dudley, our Director of Early Learning and After School and Adult Ed, and to Ms. Stephanie Rice from Ed Services for putting this evening together. We had folks from our county to speak. We had our fabulous pre-K, TK, and kindergarten teachers each had booths so parents could go up and ask questions as they were making decisions about what program their children went to. We had a table for them to enroll students if they needed to do that, either in our TK to 12 program or in the after-school program or the preschool program. So lots of resources for families, and it seemed like a great success. We have some observances here in the month of April. It's World Autism Awareness Day on April 2nd. Earth Day is coming up on April 22nd, and Armenian Genocide Remembrance Day, April 24th. And then finally, again, as you heard from our students, we have spring break starting next week, and it does go through Monday the 21st. That's all I have.
Nice. And we come to board reports. Does anybody have anything to report out?
I do. Do you want to go first?
It doesn't matter.
You go first.
Okay, so I have a couple of things. I attended the Labor Management Initiative meeting this last month, and it's such an interesting committee because there's a lot of exchange of ideas and a lot of problem solving. So we reviewed the short-term independent study forms, to alleviate some of the difficulties with the form, and we also, I'm sorry, I'm kind of off tonight, but we reviewed the forms to alleviate some of the difficulties with multiple notices and signatures. We also talked about Inform K-12. That was also a part of that discussion, IEP scheduling. We also examined, as a committee, the second interim budget and enrollment. More to come on that. And also this morning, Mrs. Hirsch and I attended the Matthew Turner semi-annual musical, which highlighted some of the things that happened during the pandemic. It was hilarious. It really was. You forget about, some of the things the kids would do, like being in class and yet you see their thumbs going, right? So anyway, it was really, it was a very fun event. A big shout out to Mrs. Seymour, Mrs. Wheeler, and Mrs. Moore for making it happen. And a huge shout out for those 4th and 5th grade students that participated in the musical. The amount of memorization and acting was so impressive. So way to go, 4th, 5th graders and the staff that worked tirelessly for many hours putting the musical together. And that's all I have.
Great. Well, in addition to the Matthew Turner play this morning, I attended the high school Addams Family production, and it is hilarious. They have, I think this is the last weekend, and I highly recommend going. It was very well done. They're a very talented group of young adults, and very fun. Take the family. Trustee Manassi and I attended the Joe Henderson 5th grade debates, and we which I found very persuasive. And the students were, as 5th graders, they spoke very well in front of large group, and they all dressed up in ties and sport coats, and it was great. They did a great job, and thank you to the 5th grade teachers for putting that together. It was very well organized. And last but not least, I attended a CAP meeting, so that's the Community Advisory Panel with Valero. I attended that meeting this week. This week's topic was about Valero's sustainability report, which is available on the CAP website, which I think is www.cap. I gave it out at the last meeting. I'm just totally blanking on it. And I also wanted to say at those meetings, I'm there as a representative from the school district, and there is a time for me to offer comments. So if anybody has comments or questions, or they want to know more about the refinery and the operations, emergency protocols, you can use me as a resource, and I will take those to the meetings and raise any issues. So I just wanted to put that out there as well.
I have two things. I had the opportunity to attend Fiestas Primavera, which was really great, really a wonderful opportunity to celebrate diversity in our community. And then I participated as a parent at both Joe Henderson and Benicia Middle School, our facility upgrades, sort of open house. So I want to thank Roxanne for talking to us. We had a handful of parents at Joe Henderson, and sadly, I was the only parent at the middle school one. But I'm glad that I was there, and I'm glad that I was able to get an updated report of what's happening with our facilities and what we're doing with Measure with the bond.
Anyone else? Okay, so we'll go on to comments from members of the public. Mrs. Martinez? No? Okay. Do I need to read the little blurb, since we don't have anyone? Okay. So, members of the public may address the board at a regular meeting on any item within the board's jurisdiction. Speaker cards are available at the entrance table. Please note the item you wish to speak to and submit a card to the board secretary. The board president will call all the open session general comments, Government Code Section 54954. Point 3, during the public comment item. Comments for item on the agenda will be called during the specific item. Comments are limited to no more than 3 minutes per speaker, or the board may limit the total time to 20 minutes per item with the timer displayed on the monitors. By law, no action can be taken on any item raised during the public comment periods, and matters may be referred to staff for placement on future agendas of the governing board. Please be reminded to keep your comments respectful, as students may be watching the board meeting. Thank you. And now we go to our number 11, approval of the consent calendar. There are a couple of things that we're going to pull from the consent calendar. It's number 11, 0 through Q. You want to read the little statement first so that they have... Oh, I'm so sorry. Background information on these items is provided to the board prior to the meeting. A common motion takes action without discussion on roll call vote unless discussion of items is requested by the board members. And so before we vote on that, we're going to pull 11, O through Q. Yeah. Okay.
Were we also going to pull M, the governance handbook?
I think that's on a different, let's see.
No, it's here.
Is it M?
I would like that.
Okay, yes. Let's pull M.
The governance handbook?
Yes.
Governance handbook and what's the one, the strategic plan? Approval of the revised priorities and the strategic plan.
We weren't pulling that, we weren't gonna pull that. Yeah. That's L.
That's L, but that's fine.
So, okay.
I feel that there may be things missing in that document that were accidentally left off, or things could be worded more professionally on some of that. Are we talking about the governance handbook? Both. L and M. L and M.
Okay. So do we need a motion?
Oh, and then just on O through Q, I'd like to pull those just to make sure that we follow the advertising and perhaps advertise through Parent Square, and then we can, for those bond committee positions, and then we can bring them back once that process has been done.
Do we need to vote on pulling or no?
Everybody's in agreement, now we can have a first and a second, with both items pulled.
Okay, so, can I have a motion to approve, approve the consent calendar, please?
I move that we approve the consent calendar having pulled L, M, O, P, and Q.
I second.
And what about the LM? Oh, you said LM.
Yeah, I did.
Got it. And who was the second?
Yanni.
Thank you. All right, so this is a roll call vote. President Grubbs.
Yes.
Trustee Hirsch.
Yes.
Trustee Seda.
Here.
Trustee-
Yes.
Here too. Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
And Trustee Manassi.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
then we also have some resolutions that need separate roll call votes under the consent calendar. We're going to start with item H, and those will be with the same first and second, just separate roll calls. So hold on one second and we can go forward.
So shall I read them out?
I'm going to do a roll call right now. I'm just putting the first and the second, and we'll go from there. Okay, President Grubbs.
Yes.
Trustee Hirsch.
What are we doing?
Is
I'm
this
sorry.
for H
It's
or?
H, I, and J.
Okay.
So this is resolution 24, 25, 29.
All right, we're
Item.
doing each one separately, yeah.
Yes, each of them require a separate roll call.
Okay.
Okay, so 24, 25, 29, President Grubbs. Yes. Trustee Hirsch.
Yes.
Trustee Seda.
Yes.
Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
And Trustee Manassi.
Yes.
Thank you. We move on to 24, 25, 30. President Grubbs.
Yes.
Trustee Hirsch.
Yes.
Trustee Seda.
Yes.
Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
And Trustee Manassi.
Yes.
Thank you. And then the last one of those is 24, 25, 31. Yes. Hold on a second.
Already ready to say it.
I have to get to that item and record the votes. Okay, President Grubbs.
Yes.
Trustee Hirsch.
Yes.
Trustee Seda.
Yes.
Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
And Trustee Manassi.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now we come to 12A. Dr. Ovick, you are up.
Good evening, Benicia Unified School District Board of Trustees, President Grubbs, and the Executive Cabinet. This evening, I'm presenting on current and projected student enrollment. All right, so this is a picture of our enrollment, both currently and projected for next year. The left side of the slide shows enrollment as of March 31st per ARIES. ARIES is our student information system. The right side of this slide shows enrollment projections provided by the office managers at the elementary schools and registrars at the middle school and high school, or high schools. And these are updated every Friday this time of year so that we can have a pretty solid idea of what our current projected enrollment is. Next slide. So considerations. Enrollment numbers include students who are currently enrolled and on inter-district transfers or IDAs. 14.5% of our current enrollment are on inter-district transfers. IDA application timeframe is January 10th through May 15th. We're receiving new and renewal IDAs. IDAs need to be renewed as students transition from TK to kinder, 5th to 6th grade, and then 8th to 9th grade. Now I want to share some assumptions in the reduction in our enrollment. The average age of Benicia residents is around 46 years old. Families with school-aged children have a high mobility rate out of the state of California. Average cost of a 3-bedroom home in Benicia is $800,000. There is 0% annual growth from 2000 to 2021. The average change in growth, 2000 to 2021, was 0.48%. And twice as many households have no children under the age of 18 than children under 18. The data with the asterisks near it, the source is Solano County, sorry, this is really small. Solano County Collaborative Housing Needs Assessment, draft July 2022. Thank you. Do you have any questions or comments?
I have a question. I heard that Vallejo Unified is either capping or has cut off the number of new IDAs. Do you know anything about that, or?
So if you visit the Vallejo City Unified School District and you search inter-district transfer, it'll take you to the page. And there's a disclaimer that says they've sort of like reached their quota.
Has that ever happened before? Is this something new?
It's not happened since I've been here in Benicia.
Okay.
What are our IDAs? Or how many students do we have on IDAs?
Currently, the number is 625, 14.5% of our total enrollment.
Do we, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead, Mark. Let me get back to
Do we have a contract they sign, an IDA sign saying, I will do this, I'll be, like a behavior and academic, and if they do not reach that, can that be revoked?
Yes. So when we accept IDAs, we need to make sure that we have room for them, not only in programs, but within desks. There is a contract that is based on academics, attendance, and behavior. And we have a process set up with our office managers and administrators where if like an attendance letter goes out, we also send an IDA warning letter. If a student is suspended from school, an IDA warning letter also goes out. So that's documented throughout the year. And at this time of year, I'm working with each of the sites to see if there are any students that we would potentially revoke for one of those reasons.
How often do students get revoked?
Annually, since I've been here.
Say there's a percentage, maybe 2%?
It's very small. And one thing I will share, because I'm also big on attendance, is when I look at the district overall for chronic absenteeism, our district as a whole is about 9.1%. When I look at IDAs alone, it's 3.6%.
They show up and they tend to act right.
my question was, I also heard that Vallejo maybe not renewing some of the IDAs that are already here. Is that true?
So my understanding around that is that Vallejo is now requiring any student on an IDA to reapply annually, so every year.
And that's because Vallejo, if a student in Vallejo wants to come over here, Vallejo Unified has to release them from their district, and we have to agree to take.
That's
so if Vallejo says we're not going to release anybody else, then we won't have that influx of people. I'm also curious to know, I had a conversation with a city council member yesterday, and there's a lot of talk about a new housing development going up out by the industrial park. Yeah, I don't know how long it would take. I don't know. It probably will take years and years and years and years. But I just want to make sure that the district is keeping tabs on that, because if that happens, I think there's like 1,000 units. And this could take a very long time, but I just want to mention it because I know that we may be in the process of having to make some decisions about what to do in the face of the lower projections. Yeah.
Well, I also think that Vallejo is, as all districts are, or most districts are, suffering from declining enrollment.
Right.
So that's kind of why they're pulling back. That's why other districts are trying to be very creative in how we can handle that. I just wanted to say that.
One of the things we might want to consider at some point is to do a study session on enrollment. As we look, we're a couple hundred kids short of where we thought we would be for next year, from where we are this year. So that's something we might want to consider, to really do a deep dive into what do we need to do about that.
Dr. Beatson, question. You had that early education thing yesterday, right? And it was TK also? So how many of the people that do you think were there for TK enrollment or kindergarten enrollment that have not already enrolled?
We didn't get any new enrollments last night. We had a lot of people asking to check to make sure they had enrolled. They're the families of our youngest, some of our youngest, so they wanted to make sure that they had put in their enrollment, but we didn't have any new enrollments
No,
yesterday.
yeah, a lot of people checking, in a family with a 3-year-old talking about how to do an IDA when their child is eligible for TK.
Okay.
We're in the process of making a lot of decisions about facilities with the bond. In terms of our timeline, do you have a sense for, like, maybe the next time we're going to talk about this? Because it seems like it could be fairly urgent, or maybe not, I don't
No,
know.
I think you're right, and I think maybe we can decide if you want to do a study session, because all of those things are very much aligned and linked, right? We want to make sure that we put our bond dollars where we need them, not expand if we don't need them. So maybe we can, if a study session is something that you're interested in, we can talk afterwards about setting a date. There is a date in May, I believe, that was sort of earmarked for one, May 29th maybe. And we could do then, or we could set something else up. So we can, if that's something you're interested in, I'll pass that on to Dr. Wright.
I'm interested.
Talk me through, what does that study session involve?
For an enrollment study session?
Yeah.
I think we could do a deeper dive into our data, historical data. We could talk about if we are interested in doing a demographer study to see what birth rates are coming, what's happening in the city, get some real numbers. It's hard. We project as best we can based on our trends and based on the information that we have. We can talk about what we need to do in terms of new build, new classrooms, or if we need to make some adjustments there.
And is that we meaning the collective us group here?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry. You.
No.
I should say you, not
No,
we.
it's fine. No, it's we, but I didn't know what meant.
And really determine, because we've relied really for a lot of years on having about 15% of our students from Vallejo. And if that is truly going to change, then I think we have some real conversations to have.
Mm-hmm. There was a survey that went out to parents about asking about feedback and rating their experience with BUSD. Did you get the results of that, and what were those?
I did. There was one. It was like one question. My last.
Yeah, and it was
survey
like 1 to 4.
And I don't have the data right in front of me. It was very high.
Okay.
People are very, very satisfied with Benicia Unified District, well over 80%.
Good.
And I'll bring that when I do our LCAP presentation, because it's part of that.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was waiting until everybody else. Those assumptions that we're using on the third slide, are those ones we've been using in the past? Those same assumptions? I mean, I know it was based on a July 2022, but I guess the question I'm asking is how close do our assumptions normally come to reality when you look back?
That's it. If I had a crystal ball. No, but
Going
yeah,
back.
yeah. It was put together. It was a study done by the county focused on trends here in Benicia. And so I'm not sure who conducted the study, but it is what we used as a source for those assumptions.
Okay, thank you.
There was nothing more current?
Nothing that we could find at the moment.
Really? Okay. Because that's old. It might have been when we were doing okay. Compared to
So,
now.
Dr. Beatson, if we do a study session, will we have current data?
The data
as far as enrollment and IDAs and all, yes, I would be able to share sort of where we are at that moment in time.
If we wanted current data on how many, I mean, really, when we're looking at enrollment, we're looking at our TK and kinders, because that's when they come to us, then typically they stay. And that's the one that we sort of use our past projections of how many students we typically get. We haven't done a demographer study for many years. We had one done years and years ago.
2017.
Yeah, it hasn't been that long, and it's expensive.
Yes.
It's very expensive. We had to do it twice because we redistricted, we did areas. So I would not be, I don't want to do that. I just don't want to spend that kind of money to do something that we're going to have to redo at the next 10-year thing for moving forward.
What does it run?
Oh my gosh, I can't remember. I know it was costly. I just remember it was costly. I don't remember the dollar amount, but I was surprised at how expensive it was.
They're usually they could be about $10,000 initially, because there's a lot of data that has to run through geographic. They're looking and determining who lives in houses, are people doubled up, have there been active births, assigned to people who live within the city of Benicia. So that a lot of it is looking at expected children coming in. So it'll look at age 0, age 1, so we can project. But they would need to completely redo it based on what we have now.
Never mind, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if that Rose Estates is built, if it is, it's not a sure thing yet, but if it is, I think they're going to have to do one then, because all of our districts will probably change.
Areas, yeah.
We would likely have to do one to be in compliance with our developer fees, and developer fees have kind of changed. But yes, also for the trustee areas to bring it in. A lot of new build, depending upon the cost of it, it could be like a 0.01 multiplier that they believe will be kids coming in. It just depends on the marketing, like who are they marketing to move into the city.
My other question is, you can correct me, because I'm not sure if I know this, and remembering back towards when we did it the last 2 times, they only survey a small majority, a smaller percentage of the households, not the full, or no, maybe that was for the retirement thing.
That might have been for the bond, to see how people would vote.
I knew I remembered
Yeah.
something about.
I think if it's something that you wanted to consider, we would determine the parameters for the contract and do a request for proposals. So possibly not using the same vendor that was used the last time, looking more towards what some of our other districts around us, the vendors they've used, and the accuracy rates of projections. Since there hasn't been housing increases, it's knowing whether or not there's movement. Are people selling and new families moving in, or is that stagnant? And I think that would really play into our rates too.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
Any
thank
more
you.
questions? Thanks, Dr. Ovick. Okay, so now we come to item 13, our action items. And Ms. Dudley, so nice to see you.
I'm ready. Good evening, President Grubbs and members of the board. Thank you for this opportunity to speak with you tonight regarding our proposed rates for the CDU preschool and after-school programs for the 25-26 school year. Just so you know, we are committed to maintaining our high quality of care and enrichment for our families, which they've come to expect from our programs, while also we want to be responsible stewards of our resources. And so our overarching goal for the CDU is to operate without generating a profit, but also without drawing from the district's general fund for financial support. For several years, our pricing for both of our programs have remained unchanged. And during that same period, operating costs have steadily increased. The most significant factor to the operating costs come from staff salaries and benefits, which have steadily increased
among the years, and then, but to also remain competitive for our teachers who are very hardworking and the dedication that they have to our team. We also want to ensure that we can also continue to attract qualified caring professionals to our field and to continue that program's success. So determine this fair and reasonable rate adjustment. We use the cost of living analysis, COLA, as a benchmark. This approach allowed us to align the rates with the inflationary pressures and rising costs while also maintaining that transparency and consistency in our methodology. We also conducted a local market review where we examined the rates charged by private pay childcare providers in the Benicia area, as well as some other districts that are similar in size and offer similar programs. And this comparative review affirmed that our proposed rates would be lower and accessible even with the planned adjustments. We understand that an increase to cost will affect families, and this recommendation is not made lightly, but to preserve our quality of programming, ensure that our staff are compensated equitably, and also maintain our cost-neutral standing with the district, this rate adjustment is both necessary and responsible. So I thank you all for your continued support of our early learning and extended care programs. And if you have any questions.
I do have a question. How long was the CDU program out during COVID?
Not long at all.
Not long at all?
Yeah, we were
Okay.
back within 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought maybe it would have some correlation to it, why we didn't raise the question then about salary, but I guess not. Thanks.
Okay.
I have a question too, and this is related to CDU. I had a member of the community reach out and tell me that there's a big wait list for CDU. And so I was curious, with the rate changes, I don't know if it's a staffing, if we need more staff, or, what needs to happen to be able to serve the demand. Do you think that maybe changing the rates I'm assuming it's tough to hire people. Maybe we can hire more people to expand our offering there?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of dynamics that go into those kind of decisions. And so definitely need for space and staffing is a huge demand.
Okay.
So if there's a high demand for space and staffing, what might be, have you given any recommendations as to how to resolve that?
There have been some conversations about shared spaces amongst the district's classrooms and how to utilize more space than we already do to expand, especially with the increase in TK, and how to serve that population. And so there is conversations around how we could do that. As far as staffing is concerned, we want to hire qualified and and professionals who are, dedicated to this profession. And so we do have a high standard for that. But also the applicants are far and few in between. So some more hiring fairs or things like that would be needed.
I have another question. Talk about the rates. Can you explain so that the public understands that the rates that are being shown are for people that come in that are like me, you, anybody in the neighborhood that wants to come and can get themselves into this program? But there's also a benefit to those that are in certain groups of students that, can you explain that a little bit?
Are you referring to our low-cost families who might qualify for other programs in the
Yes.
district? Okay. So we do have our Expanded Learning Opportunities Program. Students who qualify for free and reduced lunches would qualify for that program, as well as our foster and homeless youth and our English students deemed English language learners. And so one part of that we noticed is that a lot of families, since lunches are free right now,
are not filling out the free and reduced lunch form. And so that's very crucial to seeing if you qualify for that program. And then you would have free care after school.
Okay, that was
Yes.
that's what I was getting at.
Free.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
I have one more question. Will the, sorry, I'm a little off tonight too. Will the road that we're taking with our upgraded facilities, will that help with our wait list and with the need? Are we going to be meeting the demand as we make improvements to CDU? And sounds like staff is
Staff,
definitely
yeah.
one of the components to not meet the demand, or that we can't meet the demand.
And the space, I believe, with the proposed plans for construction aren't changing what our size or capacity right now.
I can jump in just to keep us moving while that's getting fixed. So staffing is one piece, space is another. So currently, if we just take one elementary school, in the after-school program, they're using the multipurpose room. Erica has a CDU space, they'll be outside, but there aren't lots of empty spaces, and so then it would be using some teachers' classrooms where teachers are still prepping and doing things after school. And plus, if we think of the TK students, they leave, they end their school day early, so there aren't empty spaces in the classroom. So there's a kind of a double-edged piece there that we're working on. We're trying to figure out some solutions for.
Have you guys considered, just throwing this out there, but the libraries, to use that space? And I only say that because where I worked in Southern California, we did do that. Our libraries were being used as a source of space for these kids.
And we could do that when the older students get out, but those are used.
Oh,
right,
sure, of course, of course. Thank
And
you.
we do at some sites. We do use the library at some sites, yeah.
Maybe we can put that on our study session, incorporate all of that.
Are there any other questions?
Okay, thank
Can
you.
I have a motion to approve the CDU program rate increases as presented?
I move that we approve the child care fee schedule as presented.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
And Mrs. Rice, you are up to talk about the screener.
Thank you. Good evening, Board, Cabinet, Ms. Martinez. I'm Stephanie Rice, Director of Education Services, and I am here tonight to share with you about a screener for reading difficulties and hopefully get your approval of the adoption of our recommendation for multitudes as our screener for BUSD. Sorry. I'm going to share with you the why behind the screener, our timeline, approved screeners, screener recommendation, and if approved, our next steps. So the state of California mandated through Senate Bill 114 that LEAs, us local education agencies, need to implement a screener for reading difficulties yearly for kindergarten, first, and second grade each year. And you may remember we brought this up a couple years ago that a screener was coming. The state referred to it as a dyslexia screener. Thankfully, they have renamed it as a screener for reading difficulties because it's not a diagnostic or a diagnosis. We're not doctors. This is something that identifies possible risk for reading difficulties. And the purpose is to give districts another data point so that we can provide evidence-based early literacy, targeted intervention support in hopes to correct that so that the reading difficulties doesn't continue. So our timeline, July 2023, it was signed into law. And then December 30th, I like to say January more, of this school year, the screeners were released for us to review. And then for you as our board, you have until June 30th to adopt or approve a screener for our district so that we're ready to implement it for next school year. The months that I have up here are not set in stone. This is some things that have been discussed. It won't be given right at the beginning of the school year because you want to give it when it is the appropriate time for when they've learned the materials of those foundational pieces, such as for kindergarten, we really go deep in teaching our letters and sounds, and they don't expect more mastery of that until the end of January. So we would be looking more at February to start doing the screeners. The 4 screeners that are approved by the state of California you see here. I worked with my Ed Services team. We attended several webinars through the county, through the state. We took Amira off the list and the Rapid Online Assessment for Reading, or ROAR, off the list pretty quickly. And then we brought forward M-Class Dibbles 8 and Multitudes to our intervention team, representatives from each of our elementary sites, to do a deeper dive into these assessments before we made our recommendation. So we landed with Multitudes. Multitudes is put out by UCSF. They did a 5-year study with California students. It's available for all grades that were mandated to test. And if you look back at the previous slide, not all assessments are there yet. It also is available in English and in Spanish because we are required to assess students in their native language if they don't have enough language, if there is an assessment available. So right now, they have worked on Spanish. Again, not all of the assessments are there yet, and they will then be working on the next languages that are the top languages in California that they'll be putting out next. All of them are digital. So this one's digital. The scores are available immediately. It measures all of the foundational language development pieces, as well as processing speed, auditory short-term memory, visual spatial processing. All of these assessments measure this. That's how they made it to the list for the state of California. What set this one apart was the deep research by UCSF. We also were looking into the one out by Stanford, but as you saw with ROAR, they don't have all 3 available, and there is no Spanish. They're not there yet. And then this one is free. You saw cost attached to the others. So next steps. If you approve Multitudes, then what will happen is my department, along with our intervention specialists at the elementary sites, will work with our special education department, our resource teachers from each site, school psychs, and speech pathologists, so that we can sit at the table and really dig into what the plan is going to be as response, and I'll share a little bit of that because we are really poised in a good position. But more so than that is the communication to our teachers, to our staff, to our admin, and then to our families. So we're required by the state of California to notify 15 days prior to the assessment, explaining to families what this is. So we want to make sure that our staff is well versed in that so that they can answer questions. And then we provide that to families as well as their rights to opt out, because this is an assessment that families could choose to opt out of. And then once the assessment is done, within 45 days, that's by law, we as a district need to provide the assessment results to all families. And then students that are indicated as possible reading struggles or reading difficulties, we then have to provide a plan as a district. Now, I will share, and I think you've heard this as I've presented, as we've adopted our ELA curriculum, we are in a very good position as a district from what we've already done to be able to respond. For example, we have about 90% of our primary elementary teachers trained in the science of reading. And we also have adopted curriculum, kindergarten through 5th, that is science of reading based. So our curriculum in the gen ed classroom is already ready for that targeted instruction. And then our tier 2 and tier 3 both use different versions or levels of Orton-Gillingham materials, and that's also an approved curriculum for supporting reading difficulties and also supporting dyslexia. I won't go into what I put on frequently asked questions, other than, again, this is an assessment that is diagnosing students with dyslexia or a developmental language disorder. And that's what we'll need to do in our next steps of really teasing out to have our families and our BUSD community understand that this is a screener to add one more data point to what we already do, and that, but it's not a diagnosis or something that should just flag a student to then be tested for special education. It really is meant to be early support. That's why we're doing it in kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade, so we can really provide tier 1 and tier 2 supports for those foundational pieces. So that's the end of my presentation. Do you have any questions?
I have some questions.
Yes.
So I understand that this is not a diagnostic, that you do need medical opinion on that. I do, however, sort of want to just talk a little bit through the those students that I will say will test and that probably do have dyslexia. And so how are we ensuring that that communication is discussed with our families to not sort of push it to the side and be like, oh, we're just doing reading intervention, this is what we're doing, we're pushing, instead of really talking through with the family about what options are, what our families can do to ensure that they are getting the support and the help, and the students getting the support that they need as well.
Thank you for that. So that will be a part of our next steps discussion. So that's why I'm partnering with the departments that I shared to really hone in on what our communication is. Now, as a district, we don't diagnose dyslexia, but we will share all of the results from this screener, as well as you saw, we don't test right in the beginning of the year. But we are going to keep in place, we use DIBELS as one of our progress monitoring pieces. So we'll be assessing kids at the beginning of the year and providing support before they take this screener. We're not waiting. We also communicate with families when students qualify for intervention, but it will come down to really what this communication is. Now, we do have advisement from the state, also from the different screeners, different pieces, but I really want to have the lenses of our experts in the district as well, as far as what are some questions that are going to come up, you know, how will this communication happen, and that's a bigger discussion once we land on what the screener is, so we can dig into that.
And when will the teachers start to be trained? Sort of.
So it won't be our classroom teachers giving it. What we do in our districts is we bring in a team of, typically it's our retired teachers that return, that will train to assess, because it is one-on-one, and it's 8 to 10 minutes for the assessment, and then if they score in a certain range, you have to give them the additional assessment, which is another, say, 8 minutes. So that's why we bring in a team, so it's not pulling the teacher for that. But what we would look at is, if this is approved tonight, my plan will be to get our intervention specialists in a training this year, so they have that lens, along with my team, so that we can ask all the questions, et cetera. But then we will have time to do a full training again with the testers at the beginning of the year, because we're not testing it out of the gate. And with that then is utilizing our intervention specialists to then be able to not train our teachers in the classroom to administer it, but for them to have a clear understanding of what all the components are so that when we're sharing the data, they know what the data means and they can actually utilize it within their tier 1, because they will have to identify what they're doing as well to provide support for the students, such as small group within, say, our open court intervention piece.
So I have a question. So I see that that particular program that you're looking at is got zero cost.
Correct.
How long has that program been around?
This was just developed for this. The others are in the same boat.
Okay.
With this, it'll always be $0 from what they have said, because it was developed through UCSF, through a grant, and for this. The others have costs for the screener, and then you see an additional cost for extra supplemental support, etc.
But the cost then that would come from this would be having a retired teacher.
Yes.
So there is going to be some kind of a cost.
Correct. So with whatever we choose, there will be a cost to pay for people to either come in, or if we did it in a different way and we trained our classroom teachers, it would be covering subs so that they could assess.
Okay.
Yes.
Would the intervention teachers not be able to do that? Or the
They'll do it
intervention
too.
therapists?
It's just, we know the time it takes for dibbles. And if we only use them to do the assessment, then we would miss a lot of intervention time. So that's why we bring in a team, because it takes a long time.
And you said something about the team, and you mentioned our psychologists. If we're not doing any medical assessment of these students, why would the psychologist be there?
As a lens on the communication piece. So if after doing, so back to your question as well, all of these screeners are meant to be proactive. So we're gonna provide tier 1 support. They may qualify right out of the gate for tier 2 support, or it might just be tier 1 for X amount of time and we're not seeing enough growth, then we would provide tier 2. And then after, usually we do a session and reevaluate 6 weeks, et cetera. If they're not over time making growth, we then try a different strategy. And then if that's not working, that's when we would bring them forward to a student study team and discuss next steps, whether it is a different type of intervention, whether it's then looking into further assessment. So we'll have different processes, but this, back to the psychologist, it's just kind of bringing all the lenses to the table. This, again, is not a pass to special education, but we want to have those lenses at the table just to think of all the things that may come up that we want to make sure are clear in our communication.
To point out also that here again is another regulation that has been passed, where we as a district have to take on the responsibility of doing the job and paying for the extra teachers, and we're not getting any funding for it. So this is not the only thing that we do that for.
Correct. Now there is funding, but right now, so we would get as a district, I think it's about $18,000, but they haven't teased out, like right now I believe it's one time. And it's just for training, so that will be good for us to use when we train our teachers, either if it's outside of the day and or for the team that we're bringing in. But again, to jump to an assessment that costs money, yes, we have the money this year, but we don't, there's no indication that we'll get it further out. Yeah.
I have a couple of questions. I'm concerned about the timeline, because it's test within 45 days, but it's 2 weeks as well. So the parents, you notify them 2 weeks before the assessment. And then within 45 days,
they get the results.
They get the results. So that's about 60 days, right? So that's probably close to half the school year.
Well, the 15 days we legally have to notify them 15 days prior so that they know their rights to opt out. That's what that is
Yes,
for.
clear.
So our plan, though, is to communicate with families earlier. So that doesn't have to wait, or whether we identify it, letting them know when that assessment, we always let them know when assessments are going on, but also like possibly letting them know at the beginning of the year, right? This is a different shift, here's the information, then legally 15 days prior. We're not planning to wait 45 days to notify them of results. That's just per the state of California. But what we will be doing is most likely, and we'll see, we've never given this assessment, but looking at all the components, it's very similar to DIBELS. Most likely, we would have identified the students through our DIBELS, and we probably will be serving them. It'll be interesting to see if this picks up anybody else and what that tells us. But we will be running interventions. So whether or not they are able to then just start within the middle of a group or notifying a parent that they would then start the next session, that's something we'll have to kind of tease out that's kind of the next step process of what that protocol will be. And that we don't have that all teased out as this, came through, as I say, January, but December 30th. But that's the piece that I would like the team to kind of discuss.
And this is a digital program?
Yes. It's 2 computers, the tester, the student, one-on-one, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other, oh, sorry.
So I think UCSF is great. It's a reputable university medical center. And also, with the lens of the dyslexia, I guess I don't want to shy away from that word. And I do want to make sure that we are saying that this is what this bill was put into place for. It was to test dyslexia.
It was, but the state changed it from dyslexia to just diagnosing reading screeners.
Right.
With the intention that we do some early intervention, and if it's not working and we're monitoring, then we start having those conversations
Right.
about what's next. But we don't jump right there before we try to do some
Right.
intervention.
And I hear you on that, and that will be the team sitting at the table also discussing that communication piece, because we don't want it to be a trigger for families to feel like,
But
I
it
get this
also-
and here.
People are being
Yes.
diagnosed with dyslexia.
Yes, 100%.
And I think we take
Yes.
way too much time, 10, 12 weeks before we're getting back to families to be like, let's talk about what the next plans are. So I just want to make sure that we are really, if someone tests for tier 2, that's more along the, so if a student is testing for tier 2, we really are making sure we're getting in there and we're giving the support to the
Oh,
student.
100%. Yes. No, I hear you on that. Yes. And again, the 45 days is mandated by the state, but that's not. We're
That's the
much more.
maximum, right?
Yes. We're much more responsive with that. And like I said, this is one measure. We're also going to continue to use our DIBELS as progress monitoring, talking with the team. We didn't want to take what else we've been doing off the table. We wanted to bring in only one variable to really see what that's giving us before just making other changes.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Wright. Can I have a motion to, go ahead.
I'll move that we approve the adoption of the recommended screener multitudes.
I second.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now we come to 13C, consideration and approval for adoption of BP/AR 1250 and 3515.5. Dr. Beetson.
Thank you. So this was a policy that we had pulled before. We revised based on some feedback to reflect our current practice. So district office and principals would discuss, and then the superintendent would make the determination around convicted sex offenders and if they were allowed to enter campus or not. So that's what this policy we brought back, reflecting that practice.
A
make a motion that we approve adoption of BPAR 1250 and 3515.5.
I'll second that.
Aye.
Item 13D, consideration and approval of resolution number 24-25-27 for the 2025-26 constitutional advance for the Benicia Unified School District, and that's Ms. Barrington.
Thank you. So before you, this is something that we do annually. It's something that we are graciously afforded in our county to be able to receive 85% of our taxes up front on July 1st. Basically, the county treasurer is cash flowing that, and what that does allow is that as our apportionments come in from the state, they come in monthly. Taxes don't come in until December and April, and sometimes we could have cash flow issues. So we don't have that by taking this forward. And so annually, we ask for approval to do so. It has to have a resolution. And then when taxes are collected in December and April, the funds are recaptured by the county treasurer.
Any questions?
This is no interest. It doesn't hurt us in any way.
Does not hurt us. It actually is very beneficial. If this was not something that our county had and we had cash flow concerns, we'd actually have to do, we'd have to temporarily borrow from other funds we have, and there are, regulations we're allowed to do that, or we'd have to actually go on the outside and basically get a loan that we then have to pay back and incur costs from the district. So we are very, this is great within Solano County, and we're very appreciative of our county treasurer.
Thank you. Any other questions? Can I have a motion, please?
I move that we approve resolution 24-25-27.
I'll second.
This is a resolution, so we'll do a roll call vote. Let's start with Trustee Hirsch,
Yes.
Trustee Seda,
Yes.
Trustee Maselli,
Yes.
Trustee Manasi,
Yes.
Trustee President Grubbs.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Ms. Egan, you're up here for a while. So welcome.
Thank you. We will start tonight with, we are on number E, which is consideration and possible approval of the vacation of the Robert Semple Elementary School water line easement to the city. What this does, when we moved the 3 buildings from the middle school to Robert Semple, the location that the buildings are placed had a prior water line that was a city water line underneath it. Before we set the buildings, we moved the water line, and there was an agreement with the city, so the portion of the water line that is on district property only serves the district, and so we own that piece of the pipe now, and the city no longer, this abandons their easement under our buildings. So staff recommendation is, yes, please, remove the city easement off of our property.
Do we know the age of that pipe?
So the pipe was removed, the old pipe.
Oh, it was all removed.
Yes, it was all removed.
I apologize.
That's all right.
Any other questions? Can I have a motion?
I move that we approve the vacation of the Robert Semple Elementary School water line easement to the city of Benicia.
And I will second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Great. Our next item is consideration and possible approval of the Benicia High School and the Benicia Middle School Fields Restroom Modular Building Purchase. So this would be awarding the contract to American Modular Systems in the amount of $1,003,500. So this is the buildings, the restroom buildings, and they have concession stand and storage space, IDF, that will support our new fields at the high school and also the middle school.
Are there any questions?
This is bond.
This is bond.
Any questions? Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the Benicia High School and Benicia Middle School Fields Restroom Module Building Purchase.
I'll second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Great, thank you. And our next item is consideration and possible approval of the Robert Semple Elementary School roofing and restroom upgrades project. So this project consists of new standing seam metal roofing on the Robert Semple admin building, and then the restrooms that are located in the back that abut the student restrooms that abut both the boys and girls that abut the restroom would be fully upgraded, and one of the staff restrooms would be upgraded. This is a priority one on our bond list. Staff recommendation is to approve the award of the contract for the Robert Semple roofing and restroom upgrades project to the low bidder, which is Bobo Construction, in the amount of $1,556,000.
Can you explain what upgrade looks like?
For the bathrooms? Sure. New tile, new fixtures, new partitions, upgraded flooring. Pretty much it's going to look like a new bathroom. It's in the existing space. There are some ADA upgrades, which are, I mean, the general population won't know them. It's like, maybe it used to be 18 inches from the center line of toilet to the wall, and now it's, maybe before it was 20, so they have to move that over a little bit to be in compliance with current code. But, so there are some minor modifications to fixture locations and stuff like that. Our sinks, we have been trying to, we have new sinks. It's similar to what we have at Joe Henderson, but they're trough sinks so that you have less water that gets spilled out onto the floors. We've worked really hard to get the soap dispensers and hand dryers over the sinks, so less mess, longer duration. And just, if you think of the Joe Henderson restrooms that we just did, similar. Our goal when we do these is to do it right, make it look good, so it lasts a long time. But also with consideration to expense, obviously. But we want long-standing materials.
I have a question. Being that our budget is what our budget is, and this is bond money?
This is bond.
Correct, okay. Because I was wondering, even, I mean, there might be other projects that come up that the bond money could be used for. And I'm wondering if, the roof, definitely, I totally agree with the roof having to be fixed. But I don't know if I'm on board with the bathrooms, with the restrooms, if they're in working condition of putting money into that, where we might need that bond money for something else.
The restrooms were identified in our master plan and in the meetings and the walks with everyone as a goal and a priority that we want to be upgraded. The tile in there is really pretty old. It really is in need of improving. It will be so when we're talking about all of the things on the bond list, those restrooms are always going to be used. They're always going to be in demand. They're not going away.
Right.
So, yeah, and we can, for this project, for me to break it out, I don't have the bids line by line separating out those two items. It would mean pulling it and missing our summer construction window. It's really your point, your choice, I don't want to negate it, but what I would say is that I would recommend, if there's concern around it, that we go ahead and do this. We've done some restrooms at other schools, and if we want to return to the concept and the need, that before we do it district-wide across all of our restrooms, maybe we come back and reconsider it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Can I have a motion?
I move that we approve the Robert Semple Elementary roofing and restroom upgrades project.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Roxanne.
And Dr. Jennings, you are up now.
Good evening, President Grubbs and Board Trustees. Tonight, I believe this is the item that is up, is for the consideration and possible, the sunshine. So BTA, this is you. So come on up. So Tonight, I'm presenting alongside our collective bargaining partners. We have Benicia Teachers Association President Ariane Whiting, who's here, and the bargaining chair, Lisa DeLorfis, who will present their reopeners. So,
Thank you.
go ahead.
Good evening. So the Benicia Teachers Association hereby submits the following initial proposal for reopener, bargaining with the Benicia Unified School District. All terms and conditions of this current BTA BUSD collective bargaining agreement will remain unchanged with the exception of agreements that are reached on the following articles. BTA believes in maintaining stellar achievement as one of the highest performing districts in California. Therefore, BTA is opening Article 2, wages, and BTA believes in continuing to cultivate a system of social, emotional, and physical wellness for employees so that they can continually improve practice. Therefore, BTA is opening Article 5, health and welfare, and that is it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson DeLorfis. We appreciate the partnership that we have with BTA. This action item that's up for your approval is our BUSD proposal, which aligns with the proposal that Lisa just presented, with the addition of an additional article, Article 3, which is ours, that we are also wanting to open. So the request is for your approval of the BUSD proposal for reopeners.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
I move that we approve the sunshine between BTA and BUSD for 25-26.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yeah, and Dr. Jennings, consideration and approval, initial sunshine of the California School Bargaining Agreement with CSEA.
Well, good evening again. The CSEA president of Chapter 1096 is not able to be here tonight. That's Cindy Crane. But we have mutually agreed to open the same articles. They're Article 9, which is pay and allowances, Article 10, health and welfare, and Article 14, leaves. Additionally, we have agreed to open Article 22, layoffs and reemployment. That article in particular is to align with current law. Our current collective bargaining agreement doesn't align with current labor law, so we need to correct that. And we are asking for your approval of these collective bargaining agreement negotiation reopeners.
Then I move to approve the Sunshine of California School Employees Association, CSEA, bargaining agreement between the CSEA chapter number 1096 and Benicia Unified School District for the 25-26 school year.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
And we come to 13K, Dr. Jennings yet again.
J. No, it's J.
Oh, J, sorry. Consideration and approval of the MOU with Contra Costa County Office of Education.
Well, thank you. Good evening again. This MOU is to fund our new teachers who are working to clear the credentials. It's our effort to attract and retain the best and the brightest, and by providing them to cover the cost of induction is a wonderful benefit that we offer our new teachers. And not every district does that, but we do, and it really does help us attract and keep the best and the brightest. So this is the agreement with the Contra Costa Office of Education that runs our teacher induction program.
Wonderful. Any questions?
I have a question. How many teachers are we anticipating will utilize this program?
This year, we have approximately 13. Next year, we're looking at 9. What we look at are the number of teachers who are in there. It's a 2-year program, so they have. Right now, we have about 7 teachers who are in their first year, who will then have their second year, and then looking at our potential hiring. It's not going to be huge this upcoming year, so just maybe a few more. So we're thinking about 10 will be our budget for that.
And do these funds come from our general fund to pay for this?
We've been fortunate to have educator effectiveness funds that have covered a cost for induction. Previously, you guys approved the induction cost for administrators who also go through a similar 2 years of coaching and support and mentoring that they receive. And so we also cover that cost for our admin as well as our new teachers.
Thank you.
I'll move that we approve the MOU.
I'll second.
Go for it.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And now we're at K. And it's still Dr. Jennings.
Well, thank you again. This MOU is to, with Alliant University, to provide mental health interns in our schools. And so it details the responsibilities that the district has as well as the university to ensure that they're properly supervised by one of our amazing school psychologists.
Thank you. I think it's a really good thing. May I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding with Alliant University, excuse me.
I'll second. I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And we've come to the last. Dr. Jennings.
Thank you again. This is, I appreciate your approval of this memorandum of understanding with our CSEA local chapter. One of our job descriptions needed some clarification. We had to, under the educational educational requirements, it had "or" for components, but they actually are required for the job. So we just worked with our CSEA, and they agreed to make that change in the job description. We usually have to meet and confer with them regarding those kinds of changes. So we did that, and they have signed on with this MOU, and it's just waiting your approval.
Oh, thank you. Does anyone have any questions? May I have a motion?
I'll move that we approve the memorandum of understanding between CSEA and the Benicia Unified School District and revised child development assistant job description.
I'll second.
Who was the second?
Me.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nope.
And we've come to the end of our meeting. Our next regular board meeting is Thursday, May 1st. And thank you. Have a wonderful night and have a wonderful spring vacation.